Thanks for tuning in to zZounds Live, everybody. This is Justin, and I'm here with an awesome product, the TONEX Capture. That's from IK Multimedia. So the TONEX, this is a really cool product, especially if those of you out there are looking for something like this. It's kind of a perfect piece of gear to streamline capturing, which is what I'm going to talk about if you don't know what that is. But this is an awesome product, and we will get to everything that this thing can do. But just for starters, you might be wondering, what is the TONEX Capture? So let's just talk really quick about that first before I dive in. The TONEX Capture is a capture device at its core. So what that allows us to do is to, for instance, take an amplifier like this tube amp, this Marshall in front of me, take this amp and actually do a profile and capture a digital version of this that we can then save in the software and then just recall that anytime we want. So I'll do a live capture of this Marshall JCM 800 Studio. I'll do a live capture later in the stream in a few minutes so you can see how that process works and how easy it is. And then we'll save it and you'll hear what it sounds like. But that's what the TONEX Capture does at its core, but it also is a reamp box. So if you just need a regular reamp box, the TONEX can also function exactly as a reamp box as well. And then it's also just an amp recorder where you can just use that to interface your amp with your interface. So that is the kind of the whole gimmick of this device, though, the capturing. So what I wanted to focus on today was a walkthrough of that, since I'm sure that's what everybody out there wants to hear. Reamping is reamping, but capturing, that's the cool part. So in order to show how handy this is, for instance, people who are living in an apartment like I am, I can't just crank my tube amps all the time. So I have to use an attenuator and or a load box there. So what this thing can do is it can actually take the sound directly from your head and still just get a direct capture from just this without even needing to play your amp through a speaker. So I figured that that would be the most specific usage of this device. So I wanted to do a capture in that way today. So let's take a look at the software first and foremost, and then you'll see that it's very intuitive in how it walks you through the capture process. So I got the TONEX software running actually separate. It's not in my DAW right now, but you can run TONEX as a plugin on individual tracks, which is really cool. So I have TONEX running separately though, so I can use the modeler to capture. So here's our regular interface right here. It's got this Marshall tone. It's called Black Angus. It was a preset there. It's supposed to be a JCM 800. So what better way than to, show you a plug-in version of the JCM 800 versus the real one. So you heard me play it earlier, but just to give you an idea what that sounds like, I'll play it again real fast. So you have control over the parameters right here, just as you would expect. You can adjust all the amp settings and do whatever else you need to do to get the tone to sit right. But this is the interface for choosing amps and cabs too. So of course you have normal control like any other software there. You can choose a different head right here. Like instead of maybe the Marshall, you might want to choose one of these other types of clones there. So I'm just going to pick a random one. This one is the boosted 800. So, oops. Here, and how about this one? That one was a little bit. Actually, it wasn't very boosty. So this is bigger than you. You choose that. You have full control over that. Here is the cabinets you can choose. So here's, maybe a 412, 212, 112, 810. There's about a million of them. There's 700 something right here. So you can just have a lot of fun with picking an amp and cab combination, as well as effects. You can also add, compression, reverb. So yeah, you got a lot of customizability there. And again, these are just kind of the stock sounds right here, which is awesome. So that's the kind of the quick rundown of the software. That'll be familiar. Let's see. TONEX Capture is not a load box. Speaker cab needs to be connected unless you have a separate... Yes, yeah, exactly. This is not a load box. I was going to get to that a little bit later, but thank you for that comment. This is not a load box. I actually have a cabinet, a Marshall cabinet, that I am sending the load to right now, because this will not actually allow you to record that without that. You will damage your amp if you don't have something that'll handle that. So, speaking of that, I'm going to actually get to how we're going to use the modeler, and through that, I'm going to get to explain all the different connections here that this has. But it's pretty intuitive. The way they label everything is awesome. So let's talk about that. If you see on the TONEX Capture on the front here, you'll notice that it has a line input and a from amp jack. So let's talk about connecting this together. And I'll do that this way. Let's go to the modeler. This is the software where it's going to walk us through how we're going to actually do all the modeling. So give us a little introduction. Now it asks us to select our type of instrument we're using, guitar, bass. So obviously I'm playing guitar. And then the tone model type. So you can do an amp with a cab. You can do a complete rig with pedals, just the amp and pedals. So this case, I told you guys I'm going to do just the amp. So we're going to get a direct capture, and then we'll get to experiment with cabs and things after that. But here's that amp. So I actually already filled this in earlier before we started, but this interface is usually blank when it opens up, and it requires you to choose all your connections just to make sure everything's set up properly. So it's kind of a built-in safeguard in case you're wondering if it's going to work. This usually will kind of alleviate any concerns you might have. But I've just got this Scarlett 18i20 interface, so I loaded it up there. These are the monitor outs. I sent the output into the box. So what we're going to do is that's where we plug in everything over here. So we need to make sure that there is an output from the interface into the line input here. So the interface is then sending a signal to the capture box. So interface sends it to the capture. That's step one. Next, it's going to go to the amplifier. So what we need to do is we need to plug into the front end of the Marshall. So that's where the back cable over here is. That says 2 amp. So obviously the 2 amp jack sends that into the front of my Marshall like you'd plug a guitar into. So it's just the same way it goes into the front. So now after that, we need to send it back to the interface, right? Because now we got the signal into the amp, we need to get it back to the interface. So that's where the from amp jack here is from. So we take the speaker output right here, the speaker output in the back of the Marshall, sends it into the from amp slot. So it makes sense, right? From the amp, it wants to receive a signal from the amp. So plug it in there. And then finally, we are basically ready to go. Everything's in the box again. So we have this output back here, and that's our final output that gets sent back into the interface. So I know that might have sounded confusing, but I promise you that once you're really messing around with it, it's pretty intuitive the way they lay it out. And if you've ever reamped something before, you'd already be familiar with this process since it's exactly the same. So anyways, once we got everything dialed in and loaded up, we chose all of our ins and outs, that everything's good, and we're going to get to the next stage, which is checking our levels, because obviously that's important. So here's our first level. That is my guitar input. So this is the direct input. I have the guitar actually fed directly into into the first instrument jack on my interface. So it's just going to go direct into the interface. Let's see, we have a comment here. Will you run advanced or normal? I'm going to probably run the normal mode there, since it'll take way too long to do an advanced profile. But I will get there to about how long of the process it is for the modeling later once I get to that stage. But I'll probably do a basic, like a quick profile speed once we get there. So anyways, guys, we're on step 1 here. I have to check my guitar level, make sure it's not too hot going in. And it looks like... Looks like for the most part it's okay, unless I'm really slamming it. So looks like we're okay in that end. Now we get to the next stage, which is the send level. That's going to be how hot the signal is running from interface to amp. I actually adjusted that earlier, so you won't get to see the parameters right now, but I already double-checked that was okay. So we're going to go to the next stage. All right, now we got the return levels back into the interface. So I once again already staged this to not waste time. So we already checked and made sure that the sound was nice and good level, but it's not clipping. You don't see any of the red there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now we're basically set, but I wanted to show you guys something cool here that they have. They have these audio samples that you can use so you don't have to play through it yourself. You can actually check the levels via these pre-recorded audio samples. So I'll give you guys a taste of that really fast. This is just the stock one that they have right here. So. So that just gives you a level check. And you might notice the tone is pretty kind of ragged right there, and that's because this is just the direct signal from the amplifier. There is no cabinet active in this tone right now. So you might notice it's like kind of harsh and weird at first, but that's just because it is the raw amp head sound without any cabinet. So we will alleviate that problem later once it's captured. But for now, that is the sound of just a raw DIM. So let's go to the next stage. Now we're in the capture. So this is going to take a couple minutes. So I'll probably just kill the monitoring volume there if I can, and probably just talk a little bit about the product here. But it will do a series of different kind of blips and sounds and kind of whirls, and basically just get a check on what the general amp sound is. That's how it's going to start the capture process. So let's hit capture and we'll see what happens. So. As you can see. Here, let me lower down that monitor volume. Yeah, so as you guys can see, it's going to be doing a general profile of the sound right there. Yeah, I know, I have my own background music right now. It's going to be doing a general profile where it's just riffs playing. It's kind of trying to get an idea of what the Marshall sounds like. So this takes about, in my experience, it's been about 4 minutes to 4.5 minutes of time there. And once that's done, then we can start using the software. But there's one more stage. You'll see it in a second, but we'll get there. But for now, you can see it's already about 25% done. It's just going to play a bunch of those different samples just to get an idea of what riffs sound like, what leads sound like, basically everything it can throw at it to get the character of this amp. But I noticed that it was just really immediate. Like I thought it was going to be this huge process of kind of toiling with the software, but within like 10 minutes, I was just up and running and was already about halfway done with the capture process. So that's the first, I think, real big selling point of this product is it's just easy to set up. And once you're in, it does all the work for you. So as you can see, it's like 35, 40% done already. So we'll just kind of let this thing work for a little while longer. But before we get to the next stage, I got a little bit of time here. Let's talk about the software, because the software can be run. Hold on, sorry, let me get a little less. The software can be run basically in your DAW there, which I really loved. So you could run it as a plugin. And when I was running it as a plugin, I really, again, just loved the fact that I could just dial in something and make a good amp tone with a cabinet that I wanted, with a head that I wanted, with some effects on there from just a dry, direct guitar. So I really liked that about it. And as you see, the software was not trying to be difficult. It has a really intuitive interface. But besides ToneX, what it also lets you use is AmpliTube. So AmpliTube 5, I believe it is. And AmpliTube, yeah, all those, you hear all those riffs in the background. AmpliTube is really awesome as well. It has a bunch of amps and cabs, and it also gives you basically like a version of that that you can mess around with and also use. So if you guys out there have ever used AmpliTube before, it's exactly the same. So you can run it in your DAW as a plugin, or you can run it as the standalone AmpliTube software. So, but anyways. The ToneX, though, is what we're featuring today. So I'll get to the kind of some of the amp sims that it has and some of the cool sounds that it has in a little bit. But there are versions of TONEX. There's like the SE version, and then there's the TONEX Max, which is their like complete collection. The TONEX Max is insane. I don't actually have the full version of it. I was just messing around with trials, but it is like absolutely insane how much stuff that there is in there. So I would highly recommend upgrading if you guys want a big collection of sounds. Let's see. Description is citing Boss roll and delay FYI. Okay. Actually, oh, is it a description of the stream? Yeah, yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Well, we'll get there. There's actually an ability to, speaking of actually the Boss roll and delays there, might be referring to the fact that you can run this thing and run it directly into just pedals as well, which actually is a really fun way to reamp stuff. If you have a collection of pedals that you want to use, you don't even have to use an amp. You could just route the TONEX into a set of pedals. And then what you get is you can just maybe like run a drum bus or something through like a distortion or, you know, some phasers, or run keyboards through guitar effects and be able to level it and kind of gain stage it just such and such. So that's really, really cool that you can just use this with just pedals too. So guys, actually, thanks for bringing up that Robert, though, because I am not able to show you guys this with pedals, but that is a huge usage for this product. Now, back to the software here. My capture is completed, that initial capture process. Let's go to the next stage. So now we're on the accuracy level, and you might be wondering, well, what the heck is the accuracy level? We got fast, we got default, we got advanced. Well, that decides just how accurate of a capture it's going to use. So the algorithm is different for it. But the only thing is, though, is that it's drastically different in how much time it takes. So if you're a really big purist and you want the absolute finest capture, you got to go advanced, but it will take about 4 or 5 hours for that to finish completing. So if you got enough time, you're going to bed or something, fire on the advanced and let it do its thing, and you'll have a pristine product. The default, I can't actually recall how much the default is. I want to say it's maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, but the fast one is what I'm interested in. That's going to be more like 10 or 15 minutes. So if you're just kind of, you just kind of want to get something quick and you don't care about like absolute pristine quality, go with the fast. And so let's start that. So here's the fast. You'll notice that it got this handy button here. Now I started the mode where it's going to finish the job here. And you will notice once it connects to the network, it'll do its magic and give you a status on that. What I really like about this, though, is that they were merciful in that they allow you to play the pre-loaded models that they have here while this process is happening. You are not just stuck on this screen for 15 minutes. We got another comment in here, though. I have access to amps, but I could use this to catch the tones of friends' amps and save them. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, that's not a bad use of this product too. It's like, hey man, you got a new amp, you want to come over for like 20 minutes and let me capture that? You could capture any amp in, I'd say probably 20 minutes flat. If you have everything set up and you're used to using it, 20 minutes per amp. You can get multiple captures per hour with this thing. So that is one way if you wanted to kind of be like, oh, you got a like a 5150 amp, bring me that head over and, you know, I'll buy a couple beers and capture the amp. So that's perfect. So yes, Robert, you can do that. Now, you'll notice, guys, see, I'm already at 10% right here, so it goes by quick. And yeah, of course, yeah, we got a comment here, speed depends on your PC and GPU, of course. So yes, it really, really depends on, like you said, your computer. So right now, when I'm just connected locally here at the office, mine speed is probably not going to be anything crazy on my laptop. But yeah, if you're running a crazy computer, of course, you'll get a much faster profile. But now that that's doing its magic, let's go back to the TONEX screen, the player mode where we get to play some models. And while the modeler finishes its thing over here, let's hear some tones. So I'll just use the stock tones that come with it. So. Yeah, cool. It's kind of like an orange kind of clone right here. And you could actually see what the amp is based on and what cabinet that they're using in the description right here on the in the software, which is cool. And yeah, so again, you can just be like, oh, I want more. I really need more volume on this, or oh, I need more gain. Just adjust it right there. You're good. So yeah, it's really, really great. And then again, let's cycle through to a couple. We got plenty of time. So let's check how our model is doing first. Yeah, see, we're already at 29.6%. So we're cruising right now. I don't even think it's going to take anywhere near 15 minutes to do this one on this speed. So very cool. I'm telling you guys, you can get 2-3 captures an hour easy on this. Even on the even right here when I'm just locally connected. So let's pick a random one. How about this? Let's do this. Let's do this redneck fuzz. Why not? Oh, cool. Cool. I like that. I'll do some neck pickup. So not a bad fuzz sound there. Love it. So again, yeah, you can mess with the parameters, but rather than kind of waste time messing around with any one sound, just kind of see what more of the free stuff we got here. So how about this? Let's do a high gain one. We'll see what this sounds like. It's PV5150. We'll see how much gain we got here. They classify this as a drive tone instead of a high gain, so we're sitting more in the middle of like a 5150 range there. Cool. So yeah, you guys get the idea. Again, full control over that. You can even go up here and see it loads the sounds here, so you could change the cabs. You know, maybe be like, oh, I want to pick this juicy combo. Love it. Oh, looks like we got some comments here. Okay, yeah, you guys are helping each other out here. So do you need to set the amp controls dial in a sweet spot for doing the capture? Yeah, it's the initial amp settings, which I didn't show you guys, was just what we kind of loosely dialed in right here for a crunch tone for the 800. And so whatever you capture is kind of the algorithm that is going to base the final capture on. So yes, keep that in mind. You really want to kind of find your tone before you start the modeling software there to get the best sound. Now, since we're just doing a direct capture right here, you can have a lot of fun with using microphones, which is awesome. So you can actually choose whatever mic you want, whatever mic preamps even if you wanted, and really find the sweet spot on your cabinet and set that as well. Because the ToneX is able to do a capture based on a mic source or from the direct sound, or even both if you wanted. But yeah, it could actually base the capture on a mic signal, which is probably what a lot of people out there are going to be doing. So that's just another option there that's really great. But what I thought was really fun was that the capture also is able to take even the mic source there, do a capture, and then it has an algorithm that will remove the cab after the fact, so you can audition other cab sounds in there, even if it was captured that way. So I thought that was a really nice touch there, that for anybody out there who's choosy, you got more options to remove a cab after the fact, even if you used one for capture, which is fun. So, and yeah, we got a comment here from Darren. Sounds really good. Yeah, right? All these tones right now are awesome. So I'd say pull the ToneX software up in your DAW. Just do it as a plugin on a channel, and like you could just immediately get a great guitar sound and record through it. So it's really awesome. So anyways, yeah, getting back to it, if we kind of get back to our interface right here, let's try a couple others. Because look, we got 76.9% already. We are freaking cruising right now through that model. So let's keep going. How about this one? Let's see one of the high gain sounds. We'll do Hybrid Blizzard. See how this one sounds. And I'm finding that one to be fairly quiet. Let's turn the volume up on that. All right, so there's that. Let's go to a different one. I'm sure we can find way more cool stuff here. Cool. Okay. Yeah, this is fun. So yeah, awesome. I really love that. It has pretty good feel to it. It's not just a drone. Like the amps will change the responsiveness based on these captures and the presets. So love it. Like it really does tighten up when you get a high gain tone, and it's a little looser for those clean tones. So I like it. I've been happy with all the stock stuff here. So let's move over. We're almost done with our modeler, and then we'll try to hear what that 800 sounded like and add a few cabs to it so we can actually get it to sound like a real amp instead of just a DI head like before. But in the essence of just more stuff, let's do this. Let's see what this juicy combo sounds like. Another high gain tone. This is a Dr. Z amp here. Yeah, so that was awesome. Like perfectly classic rock right there. Love it. So now that we got our tone done here, let's get to the next step. So we're moving on with our modeling process. Okay. Now this just asks you to basically confirm the connections here, and you'll see why in the next step. But this is basically just a recap of everything that you did. So everything looks good here. That all looks correct. Now what we're going to get to do is compare directly between the real rig and the capture, which is very fun. And as long as everything was done right, you should notice very little difference there. So here's my tone model of, once again, this is just the raw DI head, so you're going to notice it's kind of ragged right now, but check out, here's just the tone model we captured. And here's the real rig over here. And then the tone model. So you can adjust the gain and everything, so maybe I'll just bump it up just a teensy bit to match it. That's awesome. Like, it's super close, right? So, great. All right, awesome. I'm very happy with that. So let's go to the next stage. We get to basically customize a skin that you can see in the software. So let's scroll down here. We saw that Marshall one earlier. It's a Marshall, so let's do it. All right, cool. How about this one? Just our stock, like, slick looking Marshall one. So we'll do that. And then tone model name. Let's name this one the Marshall JCM 800 Studio. Cool, cool. Amp name, same deal. Amp name, Marshall JCM 800 Studio. And then we will do select our character. I'm going to put drive. I know this one's probably edging into that high gain territory. Well, let's just call it a drive sound. So save and go to the player. Cool. All right, guys. So right here. I think I might have, I don't know if I can see if I misspelled it or not, but it looks like we got a good capture right there. So this is our custom capture. As you can see, this is the one we did. It gives you a nice date. It's your user profile right there. So this is our dry amp. But notice, guys, as I said before, this is just the amp head. Guess what? Our cabinet slot is empty. So we're really going to want to pick a cabinet for it. So let's just pick a random one. We'll see how it sounds. So cool. Now we can audition different cabs here. And and just so you guys can hear again, if we disengage the cab there, get that fizzy DI sound, but get a cabinet in there, smooths it all out. That's what we're looking for. So awesome, right? And then again, check it out. Now we can adjust all the other settings. So let's give me some more volume. Let's give me some more gain. Why not? Let's just go big here. So we'll pump up the gain a little more, see what we get. And let's maybe put some more bass in there. Why not? So I love it. I just love how easy this is. So it's like, oh, I need a little bit less mids. Let's do a little bit more treble. Sure, what do we get? And awesome part about it is there's so much cleanup on it. Like just like the 800 would react if you played it a little softer. I roll your volume knob off, you know, get some 800 cleans on there. So I really love that. So it is so cool how absolutely easy it is to do that. And again, guys, like I said before, man, you got so much options. Noise gates, you got compression, reverbs, you can add pedals on there. You can even profile your pedals if you wanted and add them in there for use in the chain. It's awesome. So world's your oyster after that. Once you got this loaded in, now it's a preset and you could just recall this JCM 800 whenever you want in your DAW and throw it on tracks. Yeah, just have fun playing through it. So love it. It's really great. The capture box just really streamlines that process, and it does it in a way that gives you more control. So I didn't really get to talk about the attenuation knobs up here in the front of the capture very much, but you know, guys will notice I've already set them a little bit attenuated right here, a little bit lower than full. That's one of the strong suits of the capture, this capture box, is that you could precisely dial in how much signal is sending out of your interface and how much is getting returned back once you dial in all of these amp settings. So you can just really find that sweet spot, gain stage everything clean, just like you're hearing right now. It's just like pristine. But that being said, we actually have a funny story about this guy. We were having all these noise problems going, what the heck is going on here? Like this horrible, like just noise. And we were like, is the Marshall broken? Is something messed up? And we realized that this ground switch in the back wasn't engaged, this ground lift. This ground lift was the difference between like an hour of troubleshooting and it fixing all the problems. So I had to point it out right now. Check it out. If we're, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear this right now or not, but disengaging the ground lift was actually introducing a bunch of noise, especially when we went to the modeling profile. Check it out. I'll show you. So here we're up at stage 3. We were in the trying to get our return levels there without the ground lift engaged. We were getting tons of ambient noise there. You can kind of hear it crackling in and out right there. But engaging the ground removed all of our noise problems we were struggling with. So yeah, you can notice it right there. So yeah, you hear that? It just absolutely, completely eradicated any noise problems. So I absolutely loved the fact that we could not figure out what was wrong, but the TONEX Capture's ground switch was what fixed all of the problems. So it is legit. So anyways, let me back out of the modeler again. All right, so you guys can kind of get the gist of what that does then. We got the raise the depth. Yeah, if you want, I can do that. Yeah, let me see. Okay, so here's the Marshall sound I was using before. Check it out. So, and then here, if we raise the depth control all the way up, there you go. Yeah, you know, typical depth control on an amp's gonna adjust the basically the low frequency gain staging there. So depth will let a lot of that bottom end there. So yeah, good call. If you wanted to thicken it up, there you go. See, sounds great. So you tweak a couple knobs, you can get it to sound however you want. But let me play it a little bit, and then I'll send this this stream off because we already did a whole capture, guys. We already saved it, ready to go. So give me some riffage on our JCM 800, our like, you know, JCM 800 capture. So. awesome, guys. It just feels good to play these. You can adjust the tone to your heart's desire there. And that is what the ToneX does. Maybe something you can't answer, but the XLR output to the interface. Hold on, I'm having trouble seeing the comment, guys. XLR output to the interface. If I don't have an extra XLR input on my interface, only a 1/4 inch TS input, would you use an XLR to TS or TRS? Doesn't matter. I would use a TRS because that'll be a balanced connection. Then you won't have as much noise. I mean, honestly, you could do a TS input, but I mean, in my opinion, if you're doing any sort of signal there, line signal, just use a TRS so you can make sure it's balanced so you can avoid any other noise problems. So, but yeah, if you don't have an extra XLR input on your interface, it doesn't really matter at that point. If it's just a TS input, just couldn't hurt, I guess, if you use a TRS. That's just my opinion. So let's see. Guys, I think unless you guys have any other questions for me about this, this is what the TONEX Capture can do. Quick, immediate, great software. Love it. And like I said before, you can use this to reamp just as a normal reamp box. And you could also use this to capture your cabinet with microphones and capture a mic'd sound to get even better fidelity. You can also use pedals. You can do a million things with this. I love it. And it's just, you know, classic 2022 gear where like this is filling in the gaps that a lot of other gear doesn't allow you to do. And it does this all for very cheap. So check out the links that we have. We sent earlier in the chat here, we have the Marshall Studio Classic JCM 800 I'm using here and what we did the capture of. And we will, if we didn't see the link earlier, check out the TONEX Capture link and definitely pick one of these up if you're somebody who wants to get all your tube amp tones rendered digitally like that. The fidelity is awesome. You have great control. It's a really great product. And I can't say enough good things about how easy it made the process. So we did it live here with absolutely no hiccups. So if that proves proof in the pudding right there. So guys, thanks for joining me. I know the stream ran a little long, but I hope that this was helpful. And the TONEX Capture is definitely something you should check out if you're looking for capture and modeling. So tune in next time, guys, when we have another zZounds Live. And until then, have a good one.